And a good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 1025 The Game. Big Joe out one more day. He'll return tomorrow when we're at the Omni. Nick Frazier in for him, Dr. Crane, and Brandon Bigsby, a.k.a. Brando, on the ones and twos behind the glass. Excited to have you here with us today. We got a lot to get into with the owners' meetings all wrapping up and um, all sorts of things. You got some World Cup things you got to get off your chest, which we're going to allow you to do here in a little bit.
Very frustrated.
I'm frustrated for you, and
This
I'm sorry.
is something that I've never experienced my entire life, and hopefully never have to ever again. But that's all I'm gonna leave it at that for right now.
And baseball's going, but 12:30 we'll talk to Turron Davenport with the Titans and things going on down there in Arizona, and what to expect there. In 2:30, Max Herz out in LA as the Preds get ready for a 5-game West Coast road trip that is going to be huge, absolutely huge. But excited about all that and seeing what happens there. Looks like, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, Hendon Hooker is signing with the Titans. So the former Vols quarterback now joins the artist formerly known as the Two-Tone Blue and will, I guess, be in the QB room. I don't know what that means exactly, but I think what it means is what we thought we knew, we definitely know now, and that is Will Levis, goodbye.
Hi, how you doing? Having
Yeah.
a cup of coffee. We'll see you on the other side.
Because, I mean, you essentially now have 3 backups on your roster.
Yeah, it leads me to think, like, what is the plan for a guy like Hendon Hooker? Maybe he's just getting some extra tape out there for other teams. But, I mean, I say a pat on the back to the Tennessee Titans because they're both talking about Will Levis and Hendon Hooker. They're both from the same draft class, 2023.
Yep.
I mean, one was in the 3rd round, one was the 2nd round. But nonetheless, they both played at top-tier talent in the SEC. They both played each other on Halloween. So, I mean, these are 2 quality quarterbacks in their respective rights. So
Yeah.
when it comes to Will Levis, and we talked to Tim Hasselbeck yesterday, say he looks good in the offseason. I mean, structurally, his body is always going to be defined and toned. But when it comes to throwing, I think that's what we see the difference between the 2.
So I find that to be interesting. I also find it interesting that reportedly Adam Schefter putting out there that the Titans are going to sign a former Commanders free agent wide receiver KJ Osborne to a 1-year deal. Osborne's been with a few different teams, probably had the most success with the Vikings. He's had a couple of like 600-yard receiving seasons, but not really in the course of the last couple of years. So I'm curious of that move. It's a depth piece. Wouldn't expect too much out of it, but you got to have depth going into camp.
I think it also gives the signature to me that I don't think we're going to see Juwan Jennings and Titans blue at all.
I don't think. I'm kind of starting to think that as the longer he stays out there, the more likely it is he could go back to San Francisco
on a team-friendly deal.
Yeah, right. So like a 1-year prove-it type deal. So that could be interesting.
But KJ Osborne overall, though, as a wide receiver, does a pretty serviceable job for the most part. I mean, look, you're grabbing a guy just to fill out that wide receiver room. You're just trying to get some depth in there. But it makes you wonder about guys like Mason Kinsey and Xavier Restrepo. Are they going to stay on the practice squad and just be a bunch of, I guess, leeches in some aspects and just hold on for dear life with this wide receiver room? I don't know. Only time will tell.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious of that as well. I mean, look, I'd like to see Restrepo get more of an opportunity to potentially, at least stick around on the practice squad. Mason Kinsey, I mean, just call New England and send him home to daddy for a 7th-round pick or something.
That'd be nice.
I like Mason Kinsey, but, I mean, like, when is he going to show up in November again?
I mean, he always does. Comes out of the bushes.
Yeah. It's like, oh, there he is. So yeah, that's kind of where things sit right now with the Titans, but we'll talk to Turron more about that at the bottom of the hour. 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dr. Crane, what is our question of the day?
Well, Chase, I don't know if you've checked the calendar today, but today is April Fool's. It is April the 1st. There are a lot of people that have birthdays, a lot of people that have, fun things to do on April the 1st. I want to know to our audience, are you done with April Fool's? And if you're not, what is your best April Fool's joke?
Oh, that is a good one. 615-737-1025. And our question of the day is presented by Aries Tactical. Your safety, your skill, your Aries Tactical. First-time shooter, shoot for free. Just tell them that I, Chase McCabe, sent you, and check them out at ariestactical.com. I'm not a big April Fool's fan. I was, just kind of thinking about it. I like jokes. I like messing with people, but I think sometimes on April Fools it can go a little too far. So you got to be careful of that. And, with what we do, I try and be very cognizant of that. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know a good one that may have happened in the past.
I know when I was in grade
I know
school.
Willie has a good story of I think it was him and Darren, pulled one when George was on vacation, and they basically put out there he was taking a job at the Braves. So George started getting all these texts and calls from people saying congratulations.
Now hold on a second.
Yeah.
Why is my phone saying all this?
Yeah. So it was something like that. But yeah, I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, when I was in grade school, I did some funny stuff with all my tests after I was done with them. Like there were a few times, it was like grade school, 4th, 5th grade, whatever it was, and you get the A plus, the B minus, the C's, the D's, F's, if you ever got that. And there was one time I got an F for something. I think it was a project I didn't finish or whatever it was. So I ended up just putting a line right at the end of the F and then dragging that dash over and made it to A plus. And I brought it home. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, that's awesome." I was like, "Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. I did a really good job." And then they had these report cards. They had them like every quarter or whatever it was. And there was one class that I told mom, I was like, "Yeah, I got all A's. Don't worry about it." There was one class I got like a C in, and she goes, "Why'd you get a C?" I was like, "I don't know. I got an A in that class. I mean, you saw the paper." So she ended up calling the teacher, and the teacher was like, "Yeah, no, he got an F on this project. He didn't finish it." And my mom found out, and I was like, "Sorry, I just didn't want to let you down." She goes, "Just do the project. Just finish it." I was like, "All right." So I did.
That was your April Fool's joke?
Yeah, to my mom. It was pretty crazy.
I bet that didn't go over very well.
It didn't, but it's all right. I'm all right with it.
Okay.
I've lived to tell the tale.
Yeah, you have. Never lie to mama.
No, not at all.
Can't be doing that. 615-737-1025. We'll get to these as the show goes along. But I want to start with Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL Network, and now I guess ESPN, because I believe today is the day that they officially take over the NFL Network. He has his top 50 prospects. This is the 4th time he's done this ranking. And of course, Fernando Mendoza is the number 1 prospect he has on his big board. But number 2 is running back Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. And so I bring that up. Then it's Sonny Styles, David Bailey, Arvell Reese. That's the top 5. Carnell Tate, Reuben Bain, Mansour Delaney, Caleb Downs, and Francis Maigoa. That's the top 10 that he has. Love has pretty much been consistently at number 2 for him. So I bring this up and I ask, is Jeremiah Love the player now that if the Titans don't draft him, if they don't end up getting him, whether he goes to, at 2 or 3 before them or they pass on him, like, is this the heartbreaker? Like, is everybody now in love with Love and knowing that he's viewed as the second best prospect in this draft?
I'm going with no. I think there are, not saying better prospects out there in the draft pool, but I think you can pivot from a guy in Jeremiah Love if he's not there for you at 4, if that's a Titans case. I think there are a lot of options where you can go at, say, Reuben Bain's there at 4. Stick with Reuben Bain. That's not a bad pick. I don't know why people are kind of, getting nervous about that. Again, I mentioned the other day on Monday that there's a lot of anxiousness and nervousness on the shoulders of Titans fans. But when you get to the draft and you make that selection, or the Titans make that selection, regardless of who it is, I think fans will be okay with it. But to your point, though, I'm still going to lean no.
I think it is. I think for a lot of Titans fans, they look at how gifted this kid is and how much he can help a team offensively, that I think so many Titans fans have fallen in love with him. And with Borgonzi saying the other day at the NFL meetings, like, we're going to take the best player available. If you believe every mock draft that's out there, he's going to be the best player available at number 4. And he's the second best prospect, according to some people. So to me, it kind of adds up that I think if he's there, that's the pick based on what they've said. Now I understand we're in lion season, but
Right.
lion, not lion, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like the stars are aligning.
I mean, we both have conversated about this multiple times throughout the week, and I've been on the camp of Jeremiah Love for sure. But when it comes to other prospects in the NFL draft, I think I'm not saying there are other better prospects, but I'm just thinking if he's not there at 4, I think that's where the Titans may have to pivot. And even if there are trade options, because that was even mentioned in his, I think it was Jim White that posted on TennesseeTitans.com about quotes saying everything's on the table, like for Mike Borgonzi.
9877 on the text line says, we need a running back playmaker. Our offense has smelled the last few years. We need playmakers. And you're not wrong. So Jeremiah Love could certainly be that. 615-737-1025. You can call or text if you want to weigh in on our question of the day. Rob has an April Fool's story. Rob, what you got?
Hey, guys. Thanks for putting me on. I grew up in suburban Detroit in a place called Grosse Pointe. My parents were both public school teachers. One day I go downstairs, and my little brother, little sister, my grandmother live with us. Mom and dad are all have giant picket signs, and it had been like the worst snowstorm in Detroit in like the past 25 years. And I say, what are you doing? And they're like, we're picketing your middle school, and when people come on in, they're going to see that this isn't okay because you guys shouldn't have school, and they didn't cancel school. And it's dangerous. And I'm like almost in tears. I'm like, there's no way I'm picketing. And my dad said something he never told me before. He looked at me and goes, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. And I made these picket signs, like a giant billboards. My folks and family got me in this car, or actually big conversion van, to go down to my school. I'm just at my wit's end, and there's not a soul there. And my mom turns to me and goes, April Fools.
Oh my word.
So what was your reaction?
I could not believe it. I like literally the whole ordeal was like a 45-minute thing because we had like draw these signs and hammer them into like, when you pick it and stuff. I mean, here they are teachers, and they're both public school teachers. My mom was East Detroit, my dad in Warren, and I'm buying every minute of it. At no point did I think this is April Fool's. And I walked, and we got there, and there was just not a soul there, and it was incredible. It's the greatest April Fool's thing I've ever heard. To this day, it's such a memorable moment and kind of a fun story to tell.
That's a good one. Thanks for sharing with us, Rob.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Absolutely. We'll have more April Fool's stories. You can text those in, and also Jeremiah Love. I mean, is that the pick for you that if the Titans don't end up with him, that's the heartbreaker? Or do you think there's enough talent around the 4th pick that you'd be okay either way? 615-737-1025 is Chasing Big Joe on a Wednesday, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, 1025 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Wednesday. He's Nick Frazier. I'm Chase McCabe. Brandon Bixby, a.k.a. Brando behind the glass. Merle Mount Juliet. Why do people think Love is going to be available at 4? If he's the best player, then the Jets or Cardinals will take him or trade back. Titans will be lucky if he's still there. I think he goes to the Cardinals or they trade with someone. That's fair. I mean, look, that could definitely happen. But, you also have to look at team need too. I mean, what's the draft order? The Jets are 2?
It goes right? Vegas, Jets, Arizona, and then Tennessee. Yeah. Yep.
So, like Lance Zierlein in his latest mock draft at NFL.com has the Jets going Arvell Reese, David Bailey to the Cardinals, and then Love to the Titans is how he has it. And Arizona is positioned to trade back or simply take best player available, which happens to be Bailey in this scenario. For the Jets, it says GM Darren Mogi has loads of draft capital and should be allowed the runway to build his squad. Reese is an unpolished diamond, but the Jets can take a swing on his upside with the number 2 overall pick, is what Zierlein says. But again, there's an opportunity for a team to trade into one of those spots if they like Love and take him ahead of the Titans. So it is a fair question to ask, do we think that he is really going to be there at 4?
Look, the texture makes a good point about Arizona because right now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. I don't think they're going to have a running back by committee. Like, I understand James Conner had a lot of injuries in his past. I get all that. But then you go look at Tyler Algier, a running back they got out of Atlanta.
Yep.
That's a young gun that they probably are hoping for good years to come from him. But yet I don't know if he is that game-changing running back they need. And looking at Arizona,
they don't have that, in my opinion, on the roster right now. They have Connor, as you mentioned, and then Algier.
Right.
I feel like there's another one, but
Trey Benson.
Yeah, Trey Benson.
Yeah. So I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they have Algier, Trey Benson, James Conner, Corey Kiner, and Bam Knight. Those are the Bam Knight. There's a name I hadn't heard in a while.
Yeah.
Those are the running backs on the roster right now.
Just hear me out with this idea I have. And this kind of stems back to the idea of the Titans looking at their future with Jeremiah Smith next season, if that is the case, if they somehow get into that sweepstakes. But you look at Arizona and say they have the best opportunity to do something and turn their franchise around quicker rather than 3-4 years down the line. They could go sign Kirk Cousins to be their quarterback. You go and draft Jeremiah Love if that's the case. You already have Marvin Harrison Jr. and you have Trey McBride. You have 4 pillars on your offense right there where you can change things around pretty quick. And you can go grab an edge rusher in the second round and make this thing, rather than it being a terrible season for them and tanking for next season, rather than they can turn around this season. So, I mean, there are ways to do this correctly if you're Arizona, but then that puts more pressure on the Titans.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And then with the Jets, obviously they have Breece Hall, but really nothing else. I mean, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, and Kene and Wagnu.
Yeah,
those are the besides Breece Hall. Those are the running backs. So, I mean, again, I think it is a fair question, and that's why I ask it. Like, have some Titans fans gotten so hung up on getting Jeremiah Love that if he ends up going to the Jets, Cardinals, or a team trades up to get him and he doesn't land with you, is that heartbreak? Or if, Reese or Bailey or Bain or, whomever ends up being the pick, are you good with that? Whatever, no matter what.
I think both ways I'm okay with whatever. Because looking at it from the defensive perspective, if you go grab a guy in Ruben Bain or Arvell Reese or whoever else is out there, Sonny Styles, whatever, you can go and rally around a guy like Robert Saleh because you know that he has a solid defense wherever he goes. But say the Titans do go draft Jeremiah Love, that opens up the equation of having core pillar pieces for years to come. And that opens up the equation that I mentioned this past week and up to today about Jeremiah Smith next year. Enter in that sweepstakes immediately. Trade away some draft capital going forward. You have your core pillar pieces of Jeremiah Love, Cam Ward, Gunnar Helmet tight end. Go grab a wide receiver in Jeremiah Smith. Like, those are your 4 right there. You could easily go and grab an offensive lineman next season as well, because you're going to obviously move off of Dan Moore Jr. So I'm excited when it comes talking about offense like that. Very exciting. But yet, let's remember defense wins championships.
They do, and a run game. So,
It's true.
and look, I mean, we should say this, and I've tried to say this. Tony Pollard is not bad. I mean, he's been over 1,000 yards both years he's been with the Titans, and then either his last year or his last 2 years with the Cowboys. So, I mean, he is a consistent runner. And there's no reason why, even if you drafted Love, that you wouldn't want to keep him one more year. But I think if they truly look at Love as being a game-changing playmaker, Robert Saleh was talking about, I'm looking for game changers. If they look at him as that, then yeah, I mean, to me, that's the best player available by that definition. And so now, he also said edge rushers can be that too. So, whether it's Bailey or Reese or Bain, they might look at those guys as that. No, there are better players available, and we're going to take them.
My biggest worry is if the Titans do go and draft Reuben Bain, I pray and I just make sure and hope they do not move him inside because of the arms, if that is the case. Because if they go move him inside because of his arm length, then that goes to show you there's lack of depth there at that edge rushing position.
3457 says trade Will and the number 4 pick, drop back and gain extra picks. I don't think Levis is really going to get you much in that scenario. He'd just be a throw-in essentially at that point, but okay, that's fair. Dustin in Hopkinsville, Pollard won't be here for a Super Bowl run. And before that says, if it isn't Love, it better be a trade back or the best damn receiver in the draft. I don't think the best receiver in the draft is worthy of the 4th pick. Tate's probably, consider the best receiver in the draft. I wouldn't spend the 4th pick on him.
No, if a guy's running a 4.38 to a 4.4-ish, 4.5, I'm going to pass on that. That speed is just not there. You worry about that. Again, there's a difference between draft speed and football speed. And if he has better football speed, then that will pay off in the long run. But I can't subscribe to that.
9355 says, Love ran behind what ESPN called a top 5 line last year. Can he perform at the same level with this offensive line? Again, a fair question. Who knows?
And it makes you wonder too, say the Titans do this. They draft Jeremiah Love at 4. What if they go grab Pat Coogan from Indiana? Because before he was at Indiana, guess where he was at? Notre Dame.
So,
Center. Yeah.
Interesting.
So maybe there's a little bit of overlap connection there with those two.
Well, we'll see because it's Indiana's pro day today. NFL Network's live at it. Of course, everybody's watching Mendoza, but there's a receiver. I'm blanking on his name right now, but some mock drafts have the Titans taking him at 35.
Omari Cooper?
Yeah, Omar Cooper.
Yeah, Omar Cooper.
Yeah. So, that is something to consider as well. We'll talk to Turron Davenport from ESPN. We'll get his thoughts on this and much more. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Wednesday. Nick Frazier in for Big Joe. He'll be back tomorrow. And out in Arizona, where the NFL meetings have been going on, our man Turron Davenport joins us on the program. TD, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? How are you guys?
We're fantastic. What's it been like out there in Arizona?
Well, I would say this: the weather has been beautiful. A lot of mixing around and talking to different folks, man. It's been great, man. I really enjoy opportunities to get away like this. Even got to go catch a baseball game last night.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Jake's Tigers, man. They gave up a five-run lead in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Oh,
ended up losing the game 5-0, and then they lost 7-4.
Well, that's
7-5, rather. Excuse me.
That's tough for Jake's Tigers for sure. But did you when Mike Borgonzi spoke, he made it very clear that this team is going to take the best player available. If in fact they stay at number 4, but whenever they make their pick, he said that phrase in some variant over and over again. So
Yeah.
do you feel like that with a lot of mock drafts predicting Jeremiah Love, that at 4, Jeremiah Love truly would be the best player available?
I mean, it's very possible he could be the best player available. And, boards are all subjective, right? And David Bailey has gotten top pass rush, selections as far as ranking is concerned. And you've seen Ruben Bain get, just best overall player. So it could be a variety of guys. I thought it was interesting. Like, I came away from the Borgonzi presser like, you know what? I think they very well may draft Jeremiah Love. But then after talking to Salah, it's like, he says that playmakers could be edge makers, edge rushers too. And it's just like, all right, well, or as he termed it, game changers. That's how he termed it. But yeah, it's really interesting, man. There's a lot of back and forth. It's really hard to tell for sure.
Well, do you take that as the GM's thinking one way, the coaches thinking the other, or knowing that this time of year is a little bit of line season, that they don't want to show their hand, and so one guy's going to say one thing and another guy's going to say another?
Yeah, I mean, there is some of that, to try to drum up interest, because here's another thing that no one really pointed out. Borgonzi said the phones are open.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So he did make it known that, they will be willing to make a deal, obviously, if one came across. But I think it's a mixture of the two. But, I mean, I don't believe totally in the whole smokescreen thing. I think to an extent, yes, but not the effort that people seem to think it is.
Turron Davenport's online with us here on the Chase and McJoe Show. Turron, when it comes to wide receiver KJ Osborne, what does he bring to the table for the Titans? And also, does that kind of look at the trajectory of where the Titans are going to look at for the draft instead of maybe taking a flyer on a 4th-round pick for a wide receiver?
I don't know that it's necessarily replacing the flyer 4th-round pick receiver. I think it's a back of the rotation type of move to give him a guy that could come in and compete, and he has some return skills too. He could give you some slots. So I think, there's a mixture of it with him, and it's a move that's obviously not overly significant, but it could end up being a nice. I would compare this to the James Prochet signing last year. It's the same type of move.
Well, and I kind of get the sense, TD, that like they're content going into camp with anywhere from 10 to 12 viable receivers that they have to choose from to make it a tough decision to improve that room.
Yeah, and I mean, you want competition at every position, and it for the most part it breeds success. So I can't knock them for what they're doing, and it's not a high profile move, it's not an expensive one. They just bringing in a veteran receiver, and hey, see what happens.
TD, we were talking to Tim Hasselback yesterday, and I asked him about Peter Skoronski and the Titans, having roughly $63 to $64 million in cap space. Do you see a deal being done before the season with Peter Skoronski?
I don't know that a deal gets done. I'm not sure about that. It doesn't seem like it's pointing that direction. I'll say that, but you know how things could change in a hurry. So you never know, but I don't think so.
Do you think that's a potential concern going forward with this team because it needs to be built from the inside out?
No, I don't think it's a concern. I don't think Skoronsky is going anywhere. I just don't think that. You know, I'm not going to say I don't think. I don't know that a deal is going to get done before the season.
I got you. And then adding on to that as well, when it comes to another free agent guy today, Hendon Hooker out of the same draft class as Will Levis. What do you make of the quarterback being brought in back home to Tennessee?
Yeah, how about that, right? You know, maybe 3 years ago, if I would have said to you, hey, man, Will Levis and Hendon Hooker, they're going to be on the Titans, and Cam Ward's going to be the starter, you'd be like, what? So it's come full circle, and it's just one of those things where it shows you the projection, like how much of a projection of you know, crapshoot this is, right? Because Hendon Hooker was a guy that, you know, people felt was a Heisman candidate, one of the best college football players, and now look at him, he's you know, struggling to make a roster.
Yeah, and whatever it may be for Hendon Hooker being with the Titans going into, you know, training camp and so forth, I look at this as a solid opportunity for Will Levis to kind of prove himself. And also it's a twofold thing because then it allows the Titans front office to shop him around and say, he's looked really good in all of our practices.
Yeah, how about that, right? And, of course, you know, Robert Saleh, he said he wants 3 joint practices, so a little more advertising.
Well, and what I'm curious about, TD, is, I mean, we believe Mitchell Trubisky is going to be the backup, right? Like, I don't think you sign him to have a competition. So, to me, I look at it as right now, especially with Cam Ward coming off an injury, you want to have, you know, 3 guys at least healthy going into training camp, knowing that it may take him a little while and you want to protect him.
Right. Yeah, you want to make sure that you have enough in there to where, you know, neither of the quarterbacks, their arms are getting stressed from having to throw too much. I mean, that's typically why you have 3 quarterbacks in a situation where there's not a true competition for the backup type of situation. You know what I mean? Kind of like last year. You know, I think that's more or less how the setup is in that case. But I think in this case, you know, they want to showcase Levis if they don't deal him before the draft.
Going to be interesting for sure with that when it comes to the quarterbacks. Borgonzi talked about interior offensive line. Do you kind of feel the same way I do, that the draft is a really good place to find that in just about any round that, you know, Tim Hasselbeck brought up? It has interior offensive lineman has a pretty low bust rate in the first round. So do you feel like this draft in particular could be where they could fix a lot of those issues? I think we lost TD. We'll get him back.
That Arizona weather, it can drop a call just like that. It's hot out there, by the way. It's like 100 degrees. There we go.
We lost you there for a second, TD.
Yeah, had a drop call there. My bad. I do feel like the offensive line, especially the interior part, you could get some good players. I mean, look at the guy who's competing for one of those jobs right now, Jackson Slater.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a day 3 pick, right? And Mike Borgonzi, we talked to him on Monday, and he did say, hey, listen, you know, on day 2, day 3, you could get guys, you know, who could start. So they believe that too. And it's interesting because you kind of got mixed signals coming out, because I know at the combine, the conversation that I had a lot was about making sure that things were easier for Cam and having a veteran center, you know, and obviously Austin Slopeman is a guy they signed, but there wasn't really a conversation about youth and you know, this year's draft being an area that they're going to tap in order to, you know, improve the interior offensive line, but it looks that way now.
TD, if it does come to, you know, the draft and the Titans are kind of getting married with the idea of Jeremiah Love at 4, should they be worried about somebody trading up in front of them to get Jeremiah Love?
I don't know about worried about it. It's one of the things, if it happens, then it's kind of like natural selection. You know what I mean? Where
right.
You know, their pick was kind of jaded into where it went because a guy that's clearly, among their top ones is gone. I think that's kind of how that works. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about a team straightened up because I feel like they have a cluster of guys, 4 guys right there that hey, if any of those guys are there, I think they'll be happy.
Yeah, just looking at some, the fantasy drafts and so forth, that a lot of projections and mocks have Washington in some aspects a few weeks back going for a guy in Jeremiah Love. And Chase and I were just discussing about Arizona. Arizona just seems to have a running back by committee. Obviously, they signed Tyler Algier this past offseason. But again, there's no really definitive core piece there. And I think if Arizona were to get a guy like Kirk Cousins at quarterback, you have, Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver, Trey McBride at tight end, their missing piece at running back seems to be a guy in Jeremiah Love. So that's what I'm just curious about. But again, a few drafts ago, they go draft Isaiah Simmons at defensive end. That just makes you wonder, what would Arizona do to kind of mess up this feng shui?
Yeah, it could definitely. There are so many ways that it could go. And you know what else? Monty Oxenford obviously is a guy who has history with the Titans. So, yeah, and there's no direction. Now, obviously, he wasn't the guy that did all that back then, but, he's in place now. And I'm not going to say that the clock is ticking on him, but he does have to get things turned around before it's too late.
Turron Davenport is with us. One more. Indiana's Pro Day is going on right now. Fernando Mendoza is on the field and throwing. All 32 NFL franchises are there to watch the Pro Day. But from the Titans' perspective, I mean, we know Mendoza's not on their radar, but could somebody like Omar Cooper Jr., Pat Cogan, I mean, do you think they're looking at some of those guys as potential players?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Pat Cogan because nobody is talking about him, but he's someone, on day 3 that could come in and help them out. And Omar Cooper, without a doubt, I really like his ability. And it's funny, I remember this year just watching Indiana and then going into the locker room, in the media room, talking with the other media folks. I'm like, man, that dog number 3 is nice, and here it is. He's a guy that may end up being the first receiver drafted, very likely. Obviously, Sherratt is on that team as well.
TD, appreciate the time as always. Safe travels back to Nashville, and we'll talk soon.
All right, appreciate you guys. Take it easy.
Absolutely.
Let's go Mets.
Go Cards. Hey,
go
Braves. For the
Braves.
series today.
Hey, chill out, Nick.
We'll see you, TD.
All right.
Turron Davenport, you can see his work on ESPN and ESPN.com joining us, and always appreciate that. Some good stuff we'll react to, and again, we're watching Fernando Mendoza throw right now on his Pro Day. We'll talk more about that and much more. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe. Nick in for Joe today, 102.5 The Game. Jason Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. He is Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier in for Big Joe today. And Brando behind the glass. Kenny the Mailman wants to give a April Fool's story in honor of our question of the day. Kenny, what's up?
Chase, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
Excellent. Are you old enough to remember the Nashville Banner newspaper?
Yes, I am.
A lot of people here in town don't remember. We used to have two papers, but the Banner would come out in the afternoon about 2 o'clock, which made it unique. Well, this is many, many years ago. It's at the start, really, of sports talk radio in Nashville. And the front of the banner said, "The University of Tennessee sells nickname Big Orange to Florida." Do you remember that?
I don't remember it, but I
mean,
think I've heard about that.
It was a tremendous article. They was going to receive $8 million for the athletic department. They had quotes from each coach. Some of them said they were happy about it. Some of them said they had to rethink their position with the university. It would just went on and on and on. And then it said, turn to page 13. And about the size of a postage stamp, it said April Fools. But Bob Bell hosted a sports show in Nashville, and he was a huge UT guy, former sportscaster at Channel 2 for a lot of y'all new people. And he got call after call after call. People said, "I'm tearing my season tickets up as I speak. I'll never step in that stadium again. My grandparents was there when they were Big Orange, and they're not going to sell my grandparents' legacy." And he would just, all he said was, he didn't blow it. He just said, "Read every bit of the article. Read every bit of the article." But still to this day, that was one of the best pranks I've ever heard. And sadly enough, hardly anybody's left anymore that remembers it.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate it. That is a good one. I do remember Hope Hines and Channel 5 did one where they're talking to, I think it was Fisher and maybe Floyd too, but saying that the Titans had traded McNair and Eddie George to the Cowboys, and then like at the end it cuts to Steve and Eddie going April Fools.
Oh man, what TV news used to be kind of like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean you could get away with it a little bit more without the internet and stuff like that. So I've decided to jump into a draft simulator. I go love at 4. Caleb Downs falls into the second round. So I take him at 35. Let me tell you, there is no chance in hell that happens. Sonny Styles has also fallen. I'm at pick 73. He hadn't been taken.
Take him.
So that's what we're going to do. So 2 Ohio State guys. I also made a trade and got some extra picks. Now at pick 101, we got a lot of talent. Eli Stowers is on the board.
Don't mind if I do.
I know, right? Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech is still on the board.
That's an interesting player coming into the draft because, he had 100+ tackles total at Texas Tech. I'm just not high on a lot of those Big 12 players from Texas Tech because of the, quality of play in that conference, because it's almost like stat padding in a roundabout way. No, don't get me wrong. Good players. They're great players. It's just that I don't know if the stats really tell how true it is to their play.
I am trading with Indy back to 113 and also getting pick 156 out of it.
Ooh. So
I am trading back. And unfortunately Eli's gone, but I feel good about getting more picks. Eli Stowers goes to the Giants.
That'd be a good little
on this mock draft.
Imagine Isaiah Likely and Eli Stowers, with Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo. There we go.
I think I like where this has ended up. At 78 or at pick 113, I'm going to take Kalen Rutledge, the guard out of Georgia Tech. So we're going to get some interior offensive line help there at 113, which I think is a good value. We also have 132, and we're going to go there's some centers here. We're going to go Trey Zune III from Texas A&M. Okay. So we have now accomplished getting 2 interior offensive linemen there. Now we're on the board. We have picks 142 and 144 based on some trades that we have made. Got a lot of tight ends available. So we're going to go. I mean, we could take a tight end.
More the merrier.
Yeah.
What was that? 4th round right there?
Yeah, roughly.
I don't know. No, thanks.
No.
I'd say take a flyer on a tight end in like the 6th round.
Yeah.
Because right now you have Daniel Bellinger, for the Titans' sake, Daniel Bellinger and Gunnar Helm.
I think we're good on tight end, to be honest with you. This is tough. How you doing?
When you get into the meat of a draft, you're just thinking, this would be great.
How about Deontay Lawson from Alabama, inside linebacker? Give Cedric Gray a little help.
Wouldn't be opposed of it. He brings a little size into the box. So, yeah, I think that's a good little pickup.
All right, we're going to do that. And now we're back on it at 144.
Oh, man.
We might reach on something here. We got a lot of linebacker. There's Eric Rivers, who's a wide receiver from Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm. So right now on your board that you have checked off, it is safety, edge rusher, running back, interior line, and that's center and guard.
Yep.
So you have 5 total picks
and inside
right now.
linebacker.
And inside linebacker, so that's 6. I mean, you're really checking off a lot of the open boxes right now.
Yeah, I haven't found an edge rusher.
Okay.
I mean, got an outside linebacker, but I haven't found an edge rusher. So I don't know. Just kind of a fun little.
Yeah, an edge rusher, especially in this draft, like I feel like the first 2 rounds are great. That's when you really got to do your research in like the 4th, 5th rounds. You're thinking, can you take a flyer on this guy? Can he develop under a Robert Saleh defense? Because to me, if you grab a edge rusher in like the 4th or 5th round in this draft, I think they'll be serviceable. I really do. A rotational edge rusher will be hugely serviceable for Robert Saleh.
615-737-1025. We will have more coming in hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe on a Wednesday. 1025, the game. Chase a Big Joe 102.5 The Game here on this Wednesday, hour number 2. He is Dr. Cray, Nick Frazier, Brandon Bigsby, aka Brando behind the glass. So I'm finishing up this draft, and I got to pick 225. Got offered a trade with the Colts to move back to 250. I did, and at 225, the Colts select quarterback Diego Pavia from the Vanderbilt Commodores.
I just want to just put that dagger right into the back.
Well, because I was thinking like, okay, I'll, maybe I'll trade back, and if he's there, I'll take him. But he is not.
That is crazy.
Pretty funny.
You think he actually gets drafted?
I really don't know.
I mean, seeing what he did at the combine, he did a pretty good job. Again, those are combine numbers. Those are not really football numbers per se. But I think he actually does get drafted.
I think he could.
I'm thinking maybe 5th round, 6th round. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him. I mean, the NFL, I think, lacks a little bit of quarterback production, especially this year's draft. There's not a lot of, dazzling picks, but maybe Pavia is one of those guys you can go take a flyer on.
So they're giving me a B- for my draft here, but I don't hate it. I think it was good.
Does it give you like the breakdown of like the future trajectory and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can look at some of that. So I went, and look, I know 2 of these are never going to happen, but I went Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Kalen Rutledge, Trey Zoon III, Deontay Lawson, inside linebacker from Bama, Cage Casey's a guard from Boise State, Eli Raridan, tight end Notre Dame, Kayshawn Elliott, inside linebacker Arizona State, TJ Hall, cornerback Iowa, and with my last pick, West Weeks, linebacker from LSU. Isn't he who's dating Lane's daughter?
Yeah, Whit Weeks or West Weeks.
Maybe it's Whit. Yeah. But so that's my draft.
I like that. That's smooth.
You guys mentioned something about Diego Pavia, and I got curious when you were talking about where he could be drafted. There's a website called NFL Mock Draft Database, and it gives you 1 free team fit without having to pay for a subscription. The one team is actually very interesting, and I'm curious if you guys can guess it. It's an AFC team.
That are projected
to potentially pick Diego Pavia. That would be seen as a pick. No, but you're not far off.
So AFC North?
Not AFC North, but a very relevant AFC team. Yes.
Buffalo Bills?
That was about as close. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Really?
That would be actually
he could. I wouldn't hate that for him because putting him with Andy would be a good thing.
Kind of fits what they're doing over there right now because they have Justin Fields as the backup quarterback, and Fields and Pavia kind of relate to that same play style. So that makes sense. Interesting. Kansas City of all teams.
Yeah, I was curious kind of what you guys saw about that because, I mean, like you said, Frazier, Justin Fields kind of fits within that mold. Obviously, Mahomes is still recovering from the ACL, but the thing with Pavia, it's never been about the ability. It's been just more the size. Then obviously he has some of the moxie and the attitude. But if there's anywhere that can hone some of that in, it would be Andy Reid and that franchise, right?
I mean, yeah, you put him in the right system and you can make him, be the technician of that offense where all you need him to do is just be a game manager. I mean, one team that I thought would possibly be on the radar there would be the Philadelphia Eagles. Because you look at Jalen Hurts and his play style, the tush push, he's more of a game manager. Kind of throws a little bit to A.J. Brown, not a lot. Normally just resorts to giving it to Saquon Barkley or dishing it off to Dallas Goedert or whoever, Just how I look at it.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting, certainly an interesting way to look at it. 615-737-1025-0862 says, you probably better ask Joe about the Alabama player. He is more against Alabama offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I think he's okay with other positions.
I think it goes way back to the Chance Warmack days. Joe's like, I'm done. Pick. I'm done with this.
Terrible pick. Yeah. Our offseason coverage, locally brewed, community-driven. Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of the football offseason coverage here on 102.5 The Game. I'm gonna get sucked into doing these mock drafts now.
You sparked my interest while you were doing yours. I have 2 more rounds to go, but as of right now, my 4th overall pick, I have Jeremiah Love. At 35, I took Colton Hood out of Tennessee.
I like that.
At 66, I took Elijah Surratt, the wide receiver out of Indiana.
I like that.
Let's see.
Is he at pro day today?
I believe so. And then over pick 101, I did the same thing. Took Deontay Lawson out of Alabama. At 142, I thought this was a little bit of a steal. Harold Perkins Jr., linebacker of LSU. So pairing two linebackers from the same conference there. And then I do like this pick. Offensive tackle Demetrius Crownover out of A&M, a good big offensive tackle. Talking about a 6'7" guy, 300 plus pounds. And then had to take him at 184, Pat Coogan. If you're going to go grab Jeremiah Love, might as well get Coogan, right?
And TD was very complimentary of him. So, and then have a competition, with the simulating the offseason on stick to the model. The depth chart they put together is Jackson Slater is the starting center right now.
Yeah, I wonder what the future is for a guy like that, because to me, I feel like he's that utility lineman.
I think he can play anywhere in the interior.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So I'd be curious of, and like we've talked about too, I think interior offensive linemen, you can find those deep in the draft and, be able to develop them into what you're looking for. So I think that's what the Titans are going to have to try and do.
I kind of went against the grain here, Chase, with one of the last picks is Stanford tight end Sam Roche.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So he's 21-year-old. Has the size. Not sure if he's the, versatile pass catching tight end, but draft stock is through the roof on that one.
He's a Nashville guy. He went to Lipscomb Academy.
That's what I was. Okay, good deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went to Lipscomb Academy, so he's a local guy.
We'll bring him back home. No need
so
for
would
Eli
he have
Staley.
played for Dilfer?
Yeah, he was here when Trent was here for 4 years.
Huh,
so
okay.
And now Dilfer's back.
And now he's back. Interesting. So that's our little mock draft for the day. I know some of you just love that so much, but
pacifies the hunger.
We had to do a little bit of it. We're broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership. With the buzz, it's always about great service. Our question of the day, it is April Fool's Day. Do you get in with April Fools? Do you like it? And if so, what is the best April Fool's joke that you have ever experienced or been a part of? I'm sure there are some that people, we've already heard a few stories. Brando, do you have one?
I'm kind of like you, Chase. I've never really been big into the whole April Fool's thing. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe I just take life too seriously. I've never seen the appeal of it. I haven't. There can be some fun stories that come from it, but April Fool's Day has just never really been for me, so I've not really participated in it much.
Well, I will say, in honor of April Fools, our sister station, 102.9 The Buzz, is now 27 years young that they have been around. So the Heritage Rock Station in town, they are Nashville's rock station. So shout out to Atticus, Haley, Dagwood, everybody over on The Buzz for the birthday.
Shout out to them. I don't know if that makes me feel old or young, because I'm 27 going on 28.
It makes me feel old because I remember when it happened, because it was a 103 KDF shifted to country, and that left that rock format open. So the Buzz was born, because 102.9 was like Moo 102 or something like that, or was a country station. And Bud and everybody made the decision to flip it to rock, and it's obviously been a very good decision ever since. So
love it. And it's one of my go-to daily drivers, honestly.
Yeah. One of the best rock stations in the country. So pretty cool that we have that in our building. Keegan says a guy like Surratt just reminds me of Io Manor, and we already have an Io Manor. He's not the only one. There's just a few more like him. That's the other thing, are some of these that you might take flyers on, like guys that you've already taken a flyer on?
Yeah. Elijah Surratt, to me, just looking at his play style, it does have some similarities to Alec Io Manor. But again, I think Alec Io Manor has just probably fine-combed his play style a little bit this past offseason, and ending last season with a little bit more experience under his belt. There's a lot more to that to expand on. So for the comparisons, yeah, there's some similarities, but I don't see them as like identical. And which is a good, a good thing to have with this roster is, yeah, you may have some similarities, but again, if you can hone in on the kind of like what Rick Sweet was talking about yesterday with pitchers, they come over and kind of rejuvenate their career with the Brewers organization, and they don't just go and try to retool the whole craft. They hone in on what you're really good at. I think you can do the same thing with a guy like Elijah Surratt. You can really hone in on what he's really good at. Whereas for Alec Manor, he's developed into being a perennial wide receiver.
Coming up next, it is Dr. Crane's time to shine because there is a soccer rant that you need to have, something you want to get off your chest that happened last night.
Yesterday, while we're on the show, funny enough.
This was brought to my attention on X, and I was asked by the people to give Dr. Crane his moment to rant on this. So a little soccer rant coming your way next. It's Chase and Big Joe here on 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, the game on this Wednesday. He is Dr. Cray, Nick Frazier. I'm Chase McCabe, Brandon Bigsby, a.k.a. Brando on the ones and twos. All right, so Nick, set this up. You have a little soccer rant coming. We got a lot of soccer fans that listen to us, and so they're excited about this.
Yeah, they'll be excited. I will not be excited. I'm going to share my frustration about the Italian national team. Everybody knows I'm Italian American / a little Irish in my blood, but primarily just embrace the Italian culture of mine. And I grew up watching Italian soccer and Serie A along with the Italian national team because the U.S. at the time when I was a kid, they were not really that great. So always got to cheer for somebody that's really good in the roundabout way. And I've always supported the Italian national team when it comes to soccer. Yesterday, jumping to what it is now, they have missed out on their third consecutive World Cup. And that is just not good for overall the look at Italian soccer as a club from club perspective and also national perspective. This is just disgraceful, distasteful. I don't know how else to describe this as in just an utter just collapse of a nation that was once respected as a top tier nation in soccer now is looked at as the laughing stock of all of soccer in the world. So the fact that the FIFA president, Infantino, is an Italian national himself, and to represent Italy in some form or fashion, and Italy not being at the World Cup here in the United States, I had some plans to go to some group stage matches, and those will not be taking place anymore because Bosnia and Herzegovina beat Italy yesterday in a 1-1 draw, but in penalty kicks. Yesterday, Italy had a few substitutions, had a red card in the 41st minute from Alessandro Bastoni. And again, the format of the way this works is you have to play in games to qualify for the World Cup. And Italy always find themselves in the murky middle, kind of like with the Preds and standings and stuff, but they always find themselves in the murky middle. And they always tend to come through with it. It's just this time around, they didn't get there. I'd say the last 3 times they got beaten Palermo against North Macedonia. They got beat by, obviously, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and a third time by Sweden, and that was in Milan. And I like to read the Italian newspaper in the morning sometimes, and this was the title of the Gazzetta dello Sport. It is world-renowned newspaper. Translating, it says, Italy misses World Cup for the 3rd straight time. Everyone goes home. The nightmare continues. Moise Kean offers false hope as Bastoni gets sent off, and in the end, Bosnia equalizes. We crash out on penalties 5-2. Head coach Gennaro Gattuso in tears and on the brink. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. And the thing that I'm frustrated about with this Italian national team, and I've always thought this was the right move to do, is you go grab guys from that 2006 Italy national team that won the World Cup. That, to me, I tell you and Joe this all the time, my favorite day, and probably to the nth degree until I have children, was July 9th, 2006 in Berlin, Germany, when Italy won the World Cup over France in penalty kicks. That was the most glorious day I've ever experienced. And now that they have players from that team on this coaching staff, Gattuso being the head coach, and Italy always prides themselves in defense. They always played a 3 at the back traditionally. They've been through I'd say a pinwheel of coaches, and the coaches, one of them being Roberto Mancini, left this team in a little bit of a quandary. This team had a good momentum after the Euros in 2020 when they played it in 2021 because of COVID, and they won that tournament. Fantastic. Great. Love that. But when you try to build off of that, you want your key players playing in your domestic league, in Europe, that is. MLS does not play into factor into any of this, but when you're an Italian nation and you don't have any of your true traditional Italian players playing in your country's league, that's disgraceful, because you go back and look at the 1990s of Italy, you go back to the early 2000s of Italy, and even the 2010s, you had your loyal players that played for Roma, Lazio, Juventus, Atalanta, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Napoli. All your top 6 teams all had top Italy
AC
talent.
Milan's like a big deal, right?
Yeah, they're my favorite team. Yeah. I mean, they are the team that's known to rule all of Europe from 2008 to like 2012. And again, they had a barrage of different nationalities on that team, but yet they still, when they had the Italian players on those teams, those were core pieces to the national team. And if you look at today's day and age, when you look at Italy's team right now, Riccardo Calafiori was a former center back in Serie A, now moved over to Arsenal in the Premier League. You have Leonardo Spinazzola, who was at Roma at some point, left to go to another league. Marco Verratti, who came up through Pescara. He's actually from Guardiola, which is about 20 minutes from my grandfather's hometown. But you see guys like that go over to Saudi Arabia, like Matteo Retegui. He is a number 9, a guy that's supposed to score all the goals. He ended up leaving to go to Saudi Arabia. And when you're 20 years old, you shouldn't be worried about the money. You shouldn't be worried about the fame. You shouldn't be worried about the tattoos, any of that. If you're a young player trying to solidify your spot on the national team, you need to be performing at the highest level. That's what makes me so infuriatingly mad. Is I remember growing up watching the Italian national team where all these guys would sing the national anthem with pride. They'd play with pride. They all were like, and I'm going to quote Francesco Totti, one of the most iconic Italian soccer players ever. He said in Sky Sports that this team in 2006 was full of warriors. This team that was on the field yesterday was not warriors. They were a bunch of, I'd say, Dolce Gabbana players, because that they were not exhibiting any form of Italian soccer. And everybody knows the phrase that are big soccer fans in Italy, the catenaccio. Catenaccio is a translation in English to door bolt. Door bolt meaning a strong defense. They just didn't have that. They played a 3 at the back. Calafiori played on the left side. Bastoni played in the middle. And you had Mancini playing on the right center back. You don't play a 3 at the back when you have 2 of your center backs that are traditional, defensive players that are slow. They play better at the 4 at the back. So that's just where I stand on this. I think the chemistry of this team was not fully equipped to take on a team like Bosnia yesterday. It's just unfortunate. And again, I criticize all this because I care a lot about the sport. I care a lot about the Italian national team. I also care a lot about the United States national team. Now, here's something about U.S. fans are probably thinking, well, the U.S. made it. That means they're better than the Italians. Not necessarily. I mean, we all saw the U.S. lose to Belgium, 5-2, 7-2, whatever that number was not too long ago. If you're hosting the World Cup, those international nations, they already make that tournament regardless if they need to qualify or not. They automatically qualify. Host nations automatically get the bid. So the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, automatic bids. Everybody's worried about the whole Iran situation. Like, well, if they don't play, no, Italy can't get in, because what the FIFA president's probably going to do is replace them with another AFC team, Asian Federation club.
Yeah.
So they'll replace them with somebody there.
Let's say Jags? Or?
Yeah, no, not the Jags. I know that Jags owner has a lot of pull. Not like that. But no, that's where I stand on this. It's very frustrating.
Joseph on X says the problem is that Italy doesn't have any generational talent, even upcoming. They're missing Pirlos, De Pieros, Baggios, Cavanos, etc. Ricky also praises your passion on this.
Well, thank you.
On X. But so what needs to change?
The solution is Gabriele Galvini, the president of the Italian FIGC, their federation, needs to step down immediately. That is my ultimate praise. They need to do that right now. They need to go find somebody else that can, help build this from the ground up. And starting with that, they do a really good job at developing talent. Italian coaches across the nation do a really good job at developing talent in the Primaveras, the Serie C, Serie D, Serie B, all the lower levels. They do a really good job at that. But when you do that, you have to remember these bigger clubs like the Juventus, the AC Milans, the Inter Milans, they're all big business corporations. They love to make their money, just like everybody else in this world. You can't do that. You have to go back to the basics. You look at Germany, prime example. When they won the World Cup back in 2018, 2014, they had all the iconic names. They did the same thing. They tore everything down to the studs and said, we're rebuilding this. And there was so much money invested into the Bundesliga of the German league. I think that's what Serie A has to do, the Italian Division 1. They have to invest a lot more money into their league and into all of the players in the region.
Who's going to win the World Cup?
Because
like the U.S. is decent, but I don't view them as the best team.
If the U.S. gets out of their group, they have to get a generous draw in the first round. And again, I'm being very nice by saying this. I think if they do win, that'd be great, but I think they lose in the first round of the knockouts. I really do. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Mauricio Pochettino is an Argentinian-style coach, does a really good job at describing how his buildup of play is from the back up to the midfielders. But again, you just can't be giving this team a lot of praise. Now, again, people are probably going to come at me as a double-edged sword comment. Well, Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Timothy Weah, they've all played in Serie A. They've all played in Italy. Doesn't that mean that they're not great players? No, that's the thing, is those players are good. It's just the league doesn't need that right now. They need the Italian players to develop that league, not foreigners.
Sure. So what country do you think?
Sorry, I meant to get to that. I'd say Spain.
Spain.
And for those that are curious about where their headquarters
Is
is.
Messi playing?
This will probably be his last one. Yeah.
Is Ronaldo or
Yes, I believe so.
is he
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Spanish?
No, he's Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Yeah. But for those that are wondering about Spain, their headquarters for the World Cup where they'll be stationed at is in Chattanooga at Baylor.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You know who goes to Chattanooga Baylor?
Who's that?
Marshall down there, and
Oh man, Memphis, come on, man. Peyton.
Old Peyton Manning. Well, I hope you feel better after getting that off your chest. We've got a few texters. Keegan says, Dr. Crane, I love the soccer talk. For real, it's great stuff. 7070 says, what the hell am I listening to?
You're listening to a very passionate soccer fan. Sorry.
Yeah. So with the World Cup coming up, I mean, there's going to be more of that talked about as well. But I'm glad that you could get that off your chest, and I hope they get it turned around.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I can't add much insight to that, but I hope they get it turned around.
That's okay. I hope that the president Galvini just steps down immediately and they can figure this thing out from the league perspective, because they need it big time. And again, I'm a big advocate for world soccer, and the fact that Italy can't be one of those top tier teams anymore. It's sad to see. I never thought you'd see your Nono's Calcio being a disgrace to the world, but it kind of is right now.
Joey from Bellevue says France or Spain.
Oh, Spain, hands down. France will be without, I think, a few players. They have some injuries involved. Yeah. I know Paul Pogba has a doping situation that he's coming back from. So yeah,
are the British good because of the EPL? Or
yeah, they are. There's an arrogance about them. I know people that love the EPL and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, the Premier League's great. To me, I don't see them as a great team. Yeah. Like they always have Harry Kane to resort to. They have your young talents, but it's nothing what it used to be with like the Wayne Rooneys and the David Beckhams. So yes, they got to the Euros against Italy in the final, but we all saw what happened at Wembley. Italy won in penalty kicks and they lost. So it's not coming home, as their song goes. It's coming home. Yeah, no, you can get rid of that.
Good stuff. Why don't you find the game in the Team Boxing League? Have your chance to win a pair of VIP tickets as the Nashville Smash take on the Phoenix Fury at Municipal Auditorium on Friday, April 17th. Text in the keyword FIGHT, FIGHT, to the game text line at 615-737-1025 to enter to win. It's Chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Wednesday. The Indiana Pro Day going on right now. Fernando Mendoza through. He's on with the NFL Network talking with them, but they got several players that are obviously being featured. We've talked about Pat Coogan as one, Omar Cooper, a receiver as well, that are all out there. But he looked, I mean, considering he was going up against air, looked pretty good. The arm looked good. So all 32 teams in attendance, including 10 people representing the contingent from the Raiders that are expected to take him number 1 overall. I do find it interesting that both who is it? Mike LaFleur? Is it Clint? Who's the coach?
Clint Kubiak. Yeah.
Clint Kubiak and the general manager both have kind of indicated, like, even if we take a quarterback number 1 overall, he may not start day 1.
Interesting.
Which, again, if they do that, like if they take him and they play a veteran, to start the year, whoever it may be, that's how I'm just going to – I wanted the Titans to do that so bad, but
looking
whatever.
right now at the roster, they only have one quarterback.
They'd have to sign somebody.
It's Aiden O'Connell right now.
Yeah, they'd have to sign somebody.
There's no way you go run it back with Aiden O'Connell, right?
But what if they sign Kirk Cousins to a 1-year deal?
It's a possibility. But again, I'm trying not to look too far into the future, Chase. I just feel like Jeremiah Smith is on the board for guys like the Raiders, because if you start Aiden O'Connell the entire season, say you're like not really tanking, but you're kind of tanking. I mean, that puts them in the top 3 spot again for a guy like Jeremiah Smith. Then here's their new core: Mendoza, Genty, Bowers, Jeremiah Smith. There's your 4 again. Again, I'm trying not to look too far in the future, but that is something that is to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Braves up 5-1 on the A's, so got that going. Happy about that, even though they lost last night. Took in the Sounds game, ran into you.
Yeah.
Last night. It was a beautiful night for baseball, and they ended up winning. So nice home opener there against Charlotte, and they're back at it again tonight.
Tyler Black had a nice home run to right field. It's like, holy cow. When it left the
he
bat,
cranked that thing.
You could hear the pop of the bat. You're like, oh, boy.
Well, the way he swung it and I saw the ball take off, I'm like, that's gone. And he knew, too. Like, he knew. Like, I love watching a ball player when they know they get a hold of one and they just admire it for a second.
Just watch it up, gaze into the sunlight, walk it off. You just go about your day.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not curious, but it fascinates me at how much there's the science involved with baseball. Just exit velo, barrel percentage. It's incredible.
Oh, it just shows you how much the analytics and everything have grown with it and how much it's changed.
It makes you wonder how much Rick Sweet is like paying attention to any of that. Obviously, he seems like a
I think he does, but I think at the same time, like, it's good to have like a mix of have a mix of the analytics and then the gut feel at the same time.
I agree.
And that's something that I think some coaches struggle with. Some teams struggle. I mean, the Titans for a long time didn't even have an analytics department.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And I don't live and die by the numbers, but I do think they're important.
Oh, yeah. Numbers definitely give you a good, gauge at what to do or what is coming in the future for sure.
So, just kind of some things to think about. Going back to our earlier discussion, Jeremiah Love, according to Daniel Jeremiah, his second best prospect in this year's NFL draft, and several people kind of feel that way. So, Mike Borgonzi said he wanted to take the best player available. Do we feel like if, Arvell Reese or David Bailey go 2 and 3 in some order, that then the best player would be Jeremiah Love? Or do we feel like the Cardinals could end up taking him at 3? That I don't think the Jets take him at 2, but they could. The Titans actually just signed, who's it, Michael Turner?
Michael Carter, yeah.
Or Michael Carter, who was the backup running back on the Cardinals. So they've signed a running back. I don't think that means anything. But, just take that for what you will.
I think it means a little something. I mean, obviously reunites him with Robert Saleh from his time in New York for sure. That's one thing. But look, if they end up
do you think it means enough to close the door on Love?
No,
I don't.
I think it actually teases more to Jeremiah Love being drafted
and closing the door on
Spears and Pollard.
Yeah.
Basically,
one of the two.
Or both. Now, I'm not saying in the same season, but like I think you move off of what Tajik Spears has another year left on his deal, right?
Yeah.
I think after this season, especially with Pollard, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have 4 running backs on the roster this season. I mean, I don't think you're going to offload Pollard or Spears, or unless there is a suitor out there that wants a guy like Tony Pollard immediately. Because you go grab Jeremiah Love, go offload Tony Pollard, then you have 3 running backs. You hold on to Spears until the end of his rookie deal or whatever that may be, and then go about your day, and you have 2 core running backs there.
The Titans have made these signings official, as they have sent out. They've actually signed 4 players. So KJ Osborne, Michael Carter, Hendon Hooker, and I'll tell you the other one when we come back on this Wednesday. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Wednesday. We'll talk some Preds with Max Herz, who should be in sunny California by now at 2:30. But they play again tomorrow night. But tonight, we can get into this, is a pretty big game that they will be paying attention to, as the Blues are in Los Angeles to take on the Kings. Those are 2 teams that obviously LA right behind the Predators. And the Blues have been surging as of late. So that is a big one. And then Anaheim is in San Jose to take on the Sharks. So we'll obviously be paying attention to that. But I mentioned the Titans have made 4 signings, and I really this was my April Fool's. I just want to mess with everybody and let you think who. It is somebody named Lance McCutcheon, who is a second-year receiver from Montana State.
Love it.
So there you go. I want to say he was here last year.
So just get a little re-sign action up in there.
I think he's obviously a practice squad guy. But Hendon Hooker, which is interesting, KJ Osborne, Michael Carter. McCutcheon spent time with the Titans last season after previous stints with the Rams, Texans, Jets, and the Steelers after playing at Montana State. So Carter was a 4th-round pick of the Jets in 2021, playing for Robert Saleh. He played 61 career games, 17 starts, a total of 1,692 yards and 9 touchdowns. He carried the ball 92 times for 333 yards and a touch in 2025 in 13 games. So I don't know what that means. Like, I kind of read the way you're reading it of, all right, they're liking Love at 4. Then you move on from either Pollard or Spears or both, and Carter's the backup. I probably would sign up for keep Pollard for a year and let Love be, his number 2, similar to what you did with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry,
right,
for a couple of years, and then find that natural changing of the guard. Now Pollard might not like that. You could cut him or whatever, or trade him, but it is interesting because right now you have a crowded running back room with the potential of adding another.
Yeah, I just see it from a perspective of, if they go and get a guy, Michael Carter, and he does become that next trend of, a running back for the next regime. And again, let's go back to the point of Robert Saleh when he was in New York with the Jets. It just seems that, he's mentioned before on the Pat McAfee show and other shows that he wants to do it his way this time. And I get that, because it goes to show you how poorly run the Jets organization is, and it wasn't solely his fault. Because why would you bring in John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson, Michael Carter, and a few other supporting cast members of that Jets team when he was there and say, yeah, I'm going to do it my way? And you're bringing back a lot of those players that were pretty good for the most part. It just didn't seem to work out because of how poorly run the Jets organization was. So to me, it just leads me to think maybe he is onto something, and there's not really much to worry about with, the reoccurring players in his system. But as for the running backs, yeah, I think you can let Tony Pollard test the market next year. And I'm not totally against you when saying, bring him back for another season if they go and get Jeremiah Love as like that 1-2 punch. But I think it'd be respectful for the Titans to say, hey, if they do go and get Love, you have Michael Carter waiting in the wings as a backup. Let's say Pollard doesn't find anything in the open market. Yeah, I'll do a team-friendly deal. That's kind of how I see it playing out.
Yeah. So I don't know. They're definitely adding some depth pieces. I mean, you look at the roster from a depth move. I mean, depth moves, they have done that. I mean, they've brought, the moves they made today, and I mean, I would say Carter's the only one that I could say, okay, yeah, he's probably going to make the team. I don't know about Osborne. I don't think McCutcheon will. Unless you carry 3 quarterbacks, I don't see Hooker doing that. Now, I think Hooker could be your practice squad guy and be your 3rd quarterback if you need him. So that's one thing. But, they even re-signed Julius Chestnut. So, I mean, you think about the running back room right now for the Titans. Let's see. On the roster, you have obviously Pollard and Spears, some guy named Blake Watson, Khalil Mullins, Julius Chestnut. Now you've added Carter.
Yeah. And the trend, if you look at this just box score stats from Michael Carter's time in New York with the Jets, you can definitely tell he was the second fiddle guy. He was the offset to Breece Hall as the primary back. And seeing his numbers kind of dwindle when he was in Arizona, 149 one season, 187 a following year after that, 131. And then this past season was probably his best year because of the lack of production from James Conner because of his injury. They had to resort to him, and it was at 333. So again, that goes to show you that he's still got some juice left in the tank.
Yeah. People like that I gave a Braves update.
Do it again. I love it. I love it.
Let's see. They won.
More baseball, the better.
I know. Well, and I love like just last night I fell asleep watching the Dodgers. You know, just was like West Coast baseball, just lay in bed and watch it.
It's a great nightcap. It really is. Can we get like a 1950s baseball score update? Those are always great. I love that.
We could.
I can queue up some music for it if we'd like.
Here's a look at your Major League Baseball scores around the league right now. In Cincinnati, the Redlegs trailing the Pirates 4-3 in the top of the 8th inning. In the bottom of the 7th, the Orioles up on the Rangers 8-2. In the bottom of the 6th, the Blue Jays lead the lowly Rockies 1-0. In the bottom of the 6th inning, I just said that one. In the bottom of the 6th, the Miami Marlins walloping the White Sox of Chicago 9-0. We got a tie ball game between the Washington Nationals and the Philadelphia Phillies at 1-1 in the top of the 6th. The Mets and the Cardinals, no score in the bottom of the 3rd. The Tampa Bay Rays and the Milwaukee Brewers tied up at 2 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. In the top of the 3rd, it's tied at 2 between the Red Sox and the Houston Astros. They're underway at Wrigley Field in no score between the Cubs and the Angels in the top of the 3rd, and already final around the major leagues somewhere. The Atlanta Braves defeat the Athletics of No City 5-1.
Well, thank you, Charles. We'll get to more of that on the other side right after this break here on the Baseball Network of America.
That's good. Well done. Well done. Joe, we need Joe for that too.
Yeah.
Let's see. 7636 Chase, why do the Braves cycle Baldwin out of the catcher's position so often? Last season, he traded games with Murphy the entire season. Bigger name stars like Raleigh just play every game at the catcher position. What's the deal? Well, they want to give Murphy at bats. They can use one of them as a DH. I think Murphy's been hurt. And so they had the other catcher up. So that's part of it. But I mean, Baldwin's a guy you want in the lineup every day. So whether it's the DH or catcher, he's raking right now.
And it's a trend we're seeing across all of baseball.
I would shop Murphy to see if I could get pitching.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. And looking at the Braves, they're catching up with everybody else. I think coming into this year, when you have Weiss taking over, this is a ball club that will be contending for a playoff spot, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people are thinking regression. This is like a lateral move.
I want to believe you.
Really?
I really want to believe you.
See, I'm an outsider looking into this Braves organization. I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I worry about the depth at pitching. That's what I mean. Your rotation right now. I mean, you got Sale, Lopez, Holmes, Elder, Jose Suarez, Martin Perez, and then, Wentz, Strider, Schwellenbach, Waldrop are all on the injured list.
Yeah.
So
hopefully you get those guys back in June,
Yeah, which, look, they could come back for a really good run, and then you'll see. I mean, the pin's not terrible. I don't mind the pin. Iglesias still the closer, but yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. Sean Murphy's on the 10-day injured list, so if they get him back, then we'll see probably a steady rotation. I love Marcio Dubon signing him like that, and then Dominic Smith has kind of been playing a DH role.
He's been great at the bottom of that lineup too. I mean, when he was with the Nationals last season, he was one of those guys that you could just plug in the lineup anywhere, at least get you one RBI. And that's all you really need with this Braves team right now, because the front end of their pitching, the starting pitchers, is getting the job done for the most part. Again, you're going up against the Athletics, probably the worst team in baseball right now, minus the Colorado Rockies. But this is a good momentum boost for the Braves right now.
Yeah. So I mean, look, they got a lot to work with. Some utility guys, like they brought in Kyle Farmer this year and Jorge Mateo. I mentioned Smith. Outfield, Mike Yastrzemski played at Vanderbilt. I mean, you got Acuna, Harris, Eli White, Yastrzemski is your outfield rotation, with White and Yaz probably rotating in and out with that. So I don't know. We'll see. I want to be optimistic, but
I think tides will turn for you when
Yeah.
Acuna finally finds the bat. And
Yeah.
I know he's only batting 167 right now, but I mean, I don't know what it is after this game, but minus that, he should just start to find some groove going into the season.
He's been, I mean, but he always kind of is slow. He did win a challenge today and drew a walk.
Okay.
Yeah, called it strike 3. He challenged it, and they looked at it, and it was close. But I mean, that's why they have the ABS. Sale went 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. Baldwin was 2 of 3 with a double and a walk, 4 RBI. And the former Brave farmhand, Shane Langoliers, on the athletic side, he was part of that Murphy trade. He had a good day, but let's see. Acuna did not register a hit today. Yeah. 2 walks.
So he's still at 167 then. Oh no,
he's at 150.
150.
Yeah. 2 at bats, 2 walks.
He'll get there.
Is
Jason.
what he gets registered at.
He'll get there.
So I guess 4 at bats total and 2 walks. 615-737-1025. We'll have more coming, including Predators in hour number 3. Chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game. Hour number 3, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Wednesday. He's Nick Frazier, a.k.a. Dr. Crane. I'm Chase McCabe, a.k.a. The Suit. And he's Brandon Bigsby, a.k.a. Brando. Big Joe will be back tomorrow when we're at the Omni Nashville Hotel. And the Predators will be back in action. We may have Max Herz today. I know they just landed in L.A. We'll see. They may not be at the hotel in time. So we'll see if we can catch up with Max at some point today. But the Predators have gotten to Los Angeles. They'll take on the Kings tomorrow night. And one thing that I think has been a positive of having so many days off is that they've gotten to practice. Because you look at how condensed this schedule has been, they have not had a ton of practice time over the course of really the last couple of months since the Olympic break. Andrew Brunette yesterday spoke to the media and was asked about that limited practice time and be able to use some of this time off to work on some things. That was Andrew Brunette yesterday with practice. You can hear it. The coach wants practice time. The players want to be off. But there were some things, and I mean, I think if you watch, especially some of these starts that they've had, Nick, they need it. They need some practice time. They need to especially the young guys could benefit from dusting up on some things.
Yeah, definitely sharpen the knives in the kitchen drawer for sure. I mean, I'm trying to compartmentalize and look at this, Nashville Predators 6-game road trip as a playoff road trip in a roundabout way. 6 away games. Again, your backs are kind of against the wall in a roundabout way. You still hold that 1 point in the wild card standings in that second wild card spot. But again, you're kind of scoreboard watching tonight, watching the Blues and Kings game. But when you look at this, and you make a good point about the practices, is it kind of resets things for guys like Steven Stamkos and Philip Forsberg and even Brady Shea and Jonathan Marchessault. I'm not, forgetting about Roman Josi. I think Roman Josi's played pretty good for the most part in the last few games. But you go and look at those 3 additions when Barry Trotz was the first added on as the GM, Marchessault, Shea, and Stamkos. I mean, Stamkos is on the brink of 40 goals once again, and you got to just add in the factor of Brady Shea and Marchessault. To me, those are the big additions into this 6-game road trip stretch that you have to focus in on.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that you pay to be the guys need to step up and be the guys. I mean, that's Forsberg, that's Josi, that's Marchessault, that's Stamkos, that's Saros. I mean, like, you need to get that kind of production out of the guys that you expect to do that for you. And so I agree with you. And look, Stamkos has been remarkable in how much he's turned it around, and the fact that, in November he had like 3 goals and now he's close to 40. That's pretty remarkable. Not many people can do that. And obviously there's a reason he's a Hall of Famer, but they need those guys to step in and contribute on this road trip. And it starts tomorrow night. I don't like using the phrase must win, but tomorrow's a must-win game. Whether LA wins tonight or not, which Preds fans all around are going to be pulling for the St. Louis Blues tonight, which they're right on your tail. But to keep LA behind you, you need St. Louis to win, and you need them to win in regulation. You do not need LA to get a point tonight. Otherwise, if they get a point, they're tied with you, and I believe they win the tiebreaker right now.
Yeah, it's not a good look at all. I was listening yesterday to DVD, and when they had Barry Trotz on, and obviously Eric Hall has been a topic of conversation because he was one of those, trade deadline pieces that could have been moved but wasn't. How do you think, from your perspective, watching this team play, what's your evaluation of Eric Hall right now after all the additions and subtractions they've had to this roster?
I think he's been what you kind of expected him to be. I mean, he's going to go through streaks. He's a good veteran presence. I will be curious how the new GM addresses that. If he, since he wasn't traded, does the new GM want to consider bringing him back on a 1-year deal? to be a veteran presence. Is Matt Wood doing enough, to make you think he can go into next season as your number 2 center? Is Brady Martin going to factor into things next year? Like, is he ready? I would say as of right now, the answer to that question is no, but you never know. So that those kind of things are going to help you determine, is Hollis somebody you want to bring back or not? I've liked him. I liked, I kind of questioned the move a little bit when they traded a pick to get him, but then when they moved Colton Sissons, I got it. Like, he was the Colton Sissons replacement. And he's versatile. He can play on the second line, he can play on the third line, play on the fourth line. So I think he has been good, but you're not expecting him to go out and just completely light the woods on fire.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And looking at that too, like with the subtractions of Michael McCarron, Cole Smith, where do you see the biggest gaping hole on this Preds team right now without those guys being there in those late game situations?
I mean, they still need they need center depth.
Yeah.
I mean, they're seeing what Wood can do at center, but they need big time center depth. And I think that's what the new GM is going to be looking for, is trying to find, help at that position.
Mentioning GM and listening to the inflection of, Andrew Burnett's voice there in that clip coming back. What do you think his future is? Because it seems like listening to that, it's like he's enjoying the ride as the head coach of the Nashville Predators right now. I wonder what the new GM might think of that.
It's a great question. I'll answer it coming up next, because I knew you were going to ask me that. And I think there's a lot of things that have to be looked at. And we'll discuss that coming up next. Chasing Big Joe on a Wednesday, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game on this Wednesday with Nick Frazier and Brandon Bigsby. The Predators back in action tomorrow. You asked me the question, what the future might hold for Andrew Brunette when it comes to a new general manager. The true answer is I don't know, because a new GM may come in just like Barry Trotz did, evaluate things and go, you know what? He's a good coach, but I want my coach. And, you know, and the other thing too is, and I know Barry kind of alluded to this and talked about this, is are they bringing in one person to be GM and president of hockey operations, which is what David Poyle was for a long time? Are they going to split that position and have a president of hockey ops and a general manager? You know, I don't know. So I think there's a lot, and it's a crappy position to be in if you're Andrew Brunette, but it's the business, and you know that John Hines went through it. Of, you know, the new GM or the new leadership could come in here and go, you know, I think this team needs more of a veteran coach. And if ever there was a time to find veteran coaches, it's right now. You have available Pete DeBoer, who's out there, who's a no-nonsense guy. You have just fired Bruce Cassidy, which I would say if you're interested in keeping one player in Pacific that played in the Pacific Division, Bruce Cassidy might be somebody to call. I'll let you figure out that player, but he's a Stanley Cup winning coach, a very good coach. So you have him. You have Peter Laviolette, who's won a Stanley Cup, who would be out there. I don't know if you'd want to go back down that road again, but you could. I don't think you're going to talk Barry Trotz into coaching. So there's that. And then Gerard Gallant is one that is available. So, I mean, there are a lot of veterans that, you know, if you wanted to go down that road, plus I'm sure more are going to be available when, you know, the season is over, you could look at that. I think Andrew Brunette is a good coach. I think he has done a good job trying to manage all of this, especially post deadline. And so I think that should be taken into account. But again, a new GM could come in and go, we're just going to go clean slate. And that means, you know, coaching staff and all of that. So it's a roundabout way to say I don't know what it means. I mean, I definitely think he's auditioning right now.
Yeah, looking at just the resume of Andrew Brunette, especially when he was with Florida and that first Stanley Cup that they won, that team was quite youthful.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at that roster, and correct me if I'm wrong, but then looking at this Preds roster right now, you have a little mix of vets and the youngs. I get all that, but a little bit more production out of the youthful players right now on this Preds roster. It just gives me a little bit more optimism for a guy like Andrew Brunette with this team going forward.
Yeah. I mean, and look, there are some good GM names that could be out there, you know, as well. You know, that Peter Chiarelli is one that was the former Oilers GM. You know, he's got experience. He's older. Brett Peterson, Bill Scott. Brett Peterson's with Florida. Bill Scott's with Edmonton. Mark Bergevin, that was the Montreal GM. You know, he's a name that's been floated out there. I've seen Brendan Shanahan's name floated out there. So it kind of just depends on what they're looking for. And you know, Barry is consulting on this. He's a part of the process. Sean Henry, Bill Haslam. I mean, there are others, but I think they are doing all the due diligence and going to try and find the right one, and then allow that person or persons come in and do what they think is best for the franchise. I think anything would be on the table. You know, the new GM may come in and go, I don't think Jonathan Marchessault is a fit. I don't think that Ryan Ufko is a fit. I don't think, you know, I mean, Brady Martin, they might look at Brady Martin and go, he doesn't fit what I want to do. I'm going to trade him.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to be comfortable with that, of seeing what happens. Now, I don't think he's going to say that, but you never know. I mean, and then he could look and go, I like Andrew Brunetti. He's a good coach. He's not the coach I want, and I'm going to go get the coach I want. So, and some of those veteran guys that I named are, no nonsense hard asses, which may not be a bad thing. And I think Bruno can be that way. Don't get me wrong, but I will be it's going to be an interesting offseason. The free agent class is not that great, but I think there are some depth pieces you could find out there. Obviously, you got the draft capital that you could trade and make some moves. If they don't make the playoffs, and let's just say things just crash and burn the rest of the way, they could potentially be in the lottery. So that you can improve your draft position. We saw it last year. The Islanders jumped 10 spots and got the number 1 pick.
It's crazy how that works.
Yeah. So it's anything is possible at this point, but.
And I'm not just what I'm going to say. I'm not just saying this because, flagship, whatever it may be, but I really do think the Preds are in a good position right now because, like you mentioned right there, Chase, they're not too far off from a lottery pick. They're also not too far off from a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're in a little bit of a transition part with Barry Trotz and a new GM, maybe a potential president of hockey ops. Like, to me, the upswing is definitely in the now. And I like the optimism that I see for the future of this franchise. But I'm again, not just saying that just for whatever, but I really do see a positive outlook on this team going forward.
What I will say to the fans out there that are like, oh, we're just going to get beat in the first round or whatever. There's a very good chance you're right. But there's also a chance that crazy things can happen, a la 2017. Now, I'm not predicting. I think that team and this team were very different. But I'm just saying things can happen. My concern is watching the last 3 games that resulted in losses, playing teams that are better than you. It kind of shows you where the gap is. So, even though you have favorable matchups the rest of the way that could get you into the playoffs, certainly there are questions of how do you match up against Colorado? And this isn't the same Colorado team from earlier in the year, but I still think they are much better than you are.
Yeah.
Now, if they could somehow get that first wild card spot and play Anaheim, I like that matchup much better. If you got to travel a long way anyway, I'd rather have the matchup that favors me. But that is certainly a something to think about as we move forward. Go over on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mike Malarkey went through the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't he a lame duck with J-Rob's hiring? He went on, won a playoff game, but got let go anyway. Yeah, pretty much. Because I think John had decided that that Malarkey was at the ceiling. He wanted Mike Vrabel. It was not really a big secret that he wanted Mike Vrabel, and they ultimately that's what they did.
But again, to that point, what Mike Malarkey did skyrocketed that franchise into a whole different chapter, which is a good thing.
And J-Rob has been very good about saying that Malarkey had the culture fixed and had everything in place for Vrabel to come in. So, and unfortunately that happens sometimes. Like we talk about rebuilds. Well, a lot of times the people that are responsible for the rebuild get fired and don't get to see the fruits of their labor.
Mm-hmm.
But they're the ones that put it in the right direction.
So again, for Barry Trotz's perspective of being the GM, maybe he is the one that is putting this trajectory up into the right swing.
Essentially.
And that's kind of how it seems like it. So,
yeah, look, and I say this phrase in no way an insult to David Poile, but he's trying to leave it better than he found it. That's how I was always taught. You go someplace, you leave it better than you found it. And David obviously left him in a good position. And so he's trying to do the same, for the next person. So just something, some interesting discussion. I don't think we're going to have Max. We'll check that during the break, but we'll come back with more. Tee it up with us at the 5th Annual 615 Open, May 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. Once again, we're supporting Folds of Honor to help them find life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. Register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Chasing Big Joe here on this Wednesday, 105 The Game. Shay's a Big Joe on this Wednesday, 102.5 The Game. Talking about April Fools. I saw this on X during COVID when we had no sports. On April Fool's Day, the Mississippi Daily Journal put in their sports section under transactions in baseball, the Cleveland Indians signed catcher Jake Taylor, relief pitcher Rick Vaughn, third baseman Roger Dorn, outfielder Willie Mays Hayes, outfielder Pedro Serrano, starting pitcher Eddie Harris, and to one-year contracts, and named Lou Brown the manager. If you know, you know.
That
but
team,
it was well done.
Team definitely going to the World Series of that.
They also have more movie references with others, which is in the minor leagues. Visala Rawhide named Lawrence Crash Davis as the manager.
That's great.
I thought that was good. So hard to believe that was 6 years ago, but it was. So
Time
April
flies.
It does. This is interesting. Thomas in Nashville said, "Guys, I've said it before and I stand by it. I wish the Preds would bring Phil Housley back in some capacity. He was a big key to the 16, 17, and 18 teams." That from Thomas on a car phone. Howie was last with the Rangers. He was on Peter Laviolette's staff with them until last year. Didn't coach this year. I like Phil Housley, but I don't know. I mean, Roman Josi owes Phil Housley a lot, so maybe he could help develop some of these young defensemen. But I don't know. I don't know if there'd be any interest. I wouldn't bring him back as a head coach, but I'd look at as assistant potentially.
Yeah, I mean, if you can bring a guy like that back and definitely help out with a defensive shot and or just the movement off the puck, I think with a lot of these younger defenders, and like for example Ryan Ufko, who's been nothing but I'd say exceptional right now. Say you bring in a guy like Tanner Molendijk eventually, like those are guys that are your core pieces going forward. It's a matter of getting them more reps, and I
hope they're your core pieces,
right? Well, on paper right now they seem to be the core pieces, but yeah, to your point, you hope. But no, I think if that is in the cards, that'd be cool. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Cale Makar going to miss some time with an injury, upper body injury for the Colorado Avalanche. He was injured in a 9-2 win against Calgary on Monday, and had 3 assists in the game. But he was hit by Adam Klapka with 5:28 left in the second, and then did not take any shifts in the third period. Jared Bednar, the head coach, said, quote, "He's doing okay. He's going to miss some time, though, like nothing serious, nothing that's putting the playoffs in jeopardy or anything like that. If someone has something going on this time of year, we want to make sure they're right for the playoffs and the last handful of games of the season. So we're going to keep him out for a little bit." So it sounds like it's more precautionary than anything.
I mean, look, if that kind of dips their play a little bit, they're looking at some teams that are still in the playoff contention. Edmonton, one of those. You look at St. Louis, like you mentioned, they're right behind the Nashville Predators in the wild card standings. I mean, it's not a slouch of a finish for the Avalanche. So I'm just saying there's an 8-point difference between Dallas and Colorado in that division.
Yeah, I don't see Dallas catching them, but I mean, look, that's a guy you want in your lineup. So with 108 points, they look like they're on track to clinch the President's Trophy, barring any kind of craziness going on. Dallas, as you mentioned, is at 100 points in the West. Buffalo at 100 points in the East, which I never thought I'd say that, but they're on fire. So Colorado, Dallas, they've clinched playoff spots. Minnesota's in the 3rd spot, and the Central. Over in the Pacific, you have Anaheim, Edmonton, and Vegas, with the wild card spots being Utah and currently Nashville. Nashville at 77 points. The Kings 1 point back. Again, they play the Blues tonight. So the Kings and the Jets each have 76 points. The Sharks, the Kraken have 75, and the Blues sit with 73. So that's how tight it all is, with the Blues 3 points or 4 points back of the Preds, the Kings and the Jets 1 point back, and then the Sharks and Kraken 2 points back.
That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts how tight that race is. I mean, the fact that the Preds hold their own destiny right now in some form or fashion. I know some teams have a couple games in hand, but just win. One game at a time.
There's 3 games tonight. Go Blues, who are in LA to take on the Kings, and go Ducks, who are in San Jose to take on the Sharks.
Give me that flying V, baby.
That's what you need. And then 14 games tomorrow. The Predators will play the LA Kings. And then the Jets are in Dallas to take on the Stars. So we'll be watching that one, and that game is going to be close to over when the Preds drop the puck. So we'll be paying attention there. And the Maple Leafs are in San Jose to take on the Sharks. So that one's important. And Utah is in Seattle to take on the Kraken. So the points, the standings could change a lot come tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Anaheim wants to go grab Charlie Conway from the Mighty Ducks, I'm cool with that. That'd be great. That's a good April Fool's.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing about to happen. So we shall see.
I mean, looking at some of the other, looking at the Pacific, like right now, you have Anaheim that leads that with 87, but Edmonton's not too far behind them with 2 points. 85, that is, behind them, trailing 2 points. So looking at that, and again, Vegas is not too far of it either with 82. So a lot of those teams are just right behind each other. It just is a matter of, if the Preds can kind of hold on to their position, and you just hope Edmonton does not overtake Anaheim. Because, I mean, I get Leon Draisaitl's out the rest of the season with his injury, but I would not want to take on Edmonton. If that is the case, if they go for wild card one purposes.
Potentially, yeah. So you talk about April Fools. This is one. Per sources, the NHL has voted to abolish the shootout for the 26-27 season. Moving forward, if a game remains tied at 3-on-3 overtime, officials release one highly agitated Canadian goose at center ice. Whichever team's goalie can successfully catch it wins. I would like that better than a shootout, to be honest.
It'd be kind of like a slip and slide going after, a goose,
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the 3-on-3?
No.
Okay.
I'm not. I get it. I understand why they do it. It's gimmicky. The shootout's gimmicky. But again, I understand its purpose. So it's like, I don't have a better solution. I think as long as you keep it all out of the playoffs, you're good. But I liked the 4-on-4 when they did a full 20-minute 4-on-4. Or not 20 minutes, but they do a 10-minute, 5-minute
abbreviated.
Yeah. I liked that, but I get it, and it serves its purpose. So that's kind of where they're at.
And also just looking at the Utah Mammoths' last couple games here, or few games in April, you have Seattle on Thursday, Vancouver on Saturday, then you have Edmonton next week, the Preds on the 9th in Nashville, or I'm sorry, at Utah, and then Carolina, Calgary, Winnipeg, St. Louis. So again, that's not a slouch of a schedule for them either. Like there is a valid opportunity for the Nashville Predators if they can just win one game at a time. I mean, Utah could easily slip up. They really could.
They could indeed. 615-737-1025. Hey, swing by John Daly's, located at 1907 Division Street in Nashville this Saturday for a basketball watch party you don't want to miss. It's brought to you by Good Boy Vodka. You can enjoy $25 Good Boy bucket specials, and 1025 the game will be on site from 5 to 7 with prizes and more. Don't miss it out, only at John Daly's. I still need to check that place out. I've heard good things.
I've yet to go either.
I just want to see John Daly. I want to meet John Daly.
Pull a cigarette out of his back pocket, light it up right there.
Barefoot.
Yeah. I wonder what the bottom of his feet are like. I mean,
I don't know if I want to know that, but
I know it's an odd thing to bring up, but like, have you ever heard of the guy Barefoot Willie or whatever, the Alabama fan? He doesn't wear any shoes.
Yeah.
The bottom of his feet are just calloused. And I'm like, holy cow. It's almost like you wearing just a pair of shoes.
I don't know if you've ever heard Jeff Fisher tell the story that Walter Payton he'd get his cleats and he would take the padding out of the shoe where the cleats, he could feel the cleats on his feet. He wanted to feel
the studs,
each individual cleat where he knew where to cut and have that feeling. And so he had callous feet, from that, but that's how he wanted,
interesting.
Wanted it, which I thought was pretty crazy. Tommy says, talking about April Fools, my buddy called this morning saying we traded the 4th pick and Pollard to Baltimore for Derrick Henry. I believed it because that's the stuff the Titans do. That'd be bad.
I mean, at some point, if Baltimore
A fourth rounder and Tony Pollard for Derrick Henry, okay, I'll do that, but not the fourth overall pick.
no, absolutely not. You know, talking about Derrick Henry for a quick second. What do
Miss
you?
that guy.
Yeah, I know we all miss him, right? But when is it? It's almost inevitable, like the whole AJ Brown conversation. Does that all get reunited in New England?
Oh no, I don't think Baltimore. I don't think they trade Henry or part with Henry.
Really?
I
Even
No.
I just don't see it. I don't see him winning a championship in Baltimore. I don't see. I mean, that obviously John Harbaugh was one of the guys that would really facilitate a lot of what Baltimore did.
Yeah.
But to me, I just don't see the future outlook with Derrick Henry being positive in Baltimore.
Well, I mean, eventually he's got to hit a wall.
Yeah.
Eventually. I mean, he is a freak of nature, and we all know that. But I would think at some point, he's going to hit that wall. But who knows? You never know. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is time for What Day Is It? And celebrity birthdays. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Over the $99 yearly Beehive membership with a buzz is always about great service. It's Chasing Big Joe on 1025 The Game. Chasing Big Joe here on this Wednesday, 102.5 The Game. He'll be back tomorrow. Nick Frazier, who has done a very nice job filling in, and Brando behind the glass as well. Appreciate all of you for weighing in on the phone and text line at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And of course, we're presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, where we will be tomorrow at Barline. So looking forward to that. Do you feel better after your Italy soccer rant?
A little bit. I feel like there's a little bit more left on the table there. I could probably nibble off a few bites of pasta and just maybe express a little bit more frustration. Didn't like how they played it through its back, like I mentioned earlier. I think with Roberto Mancini playing a fourth back, more attacking style, could have been, adopted going forward, but they've resorted back to the old 1980s. Let's defend. And last part I'll say about this, when Italy went down a man in the 41st minute, I did not appreciate the way that there were substitutions being made in the midfield to basically bring that middle block into the low block. And so your midfield line and your defenders are all conglomerated together. And it's like 7 defenders, essentially. Wasn't a fan of that.
I just feel like you were just insulted by this whole thing.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
I remember every single event when it was the first time they missed out against Sweden. I was watching that at my grandmother's house in the den. The second time was on my way to community college. I had a movie class, which is pretty cool, like movie history studies. And I wore my 1992 long sleeve Italy jersey. And I wore it to class, and then I watched the final whistle blow in Milan, and they lost to Sweden. And then now yesterday, I was sitting at a fine restaurant establishment in Germantown and watched my poor Azzurri Blue go down into smithereens.
5956. I missed this earlier. Does Trey not call in anymore? I've heard him with Jake a time or two, but I have not. He hasn't called our show in a while, so I don't know where Trey is.
I wonder if he's back from his tooth or teeth situation in
Potentially.
South America.
Potentially.
No, he left last Saturday, is what he was saying.
Okay, well, he's probably down there. That's where he is. With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays.
All right. First on the list, we have April Fool's Day, as everybody knows that. Boomer Bonus Day. So shout out to Joe Rexroad.
Yeah, I was about to say, good for Joe.
Fossil Fool's Day. So for, the fools of dinosaurs, I guess. Global Day of the Engineer, excuse me. Holy Wednesday is today. International Edible Book Festival. Interesting. Didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. International Fun at Work Day. Always have fun here, right? Got to make the most of it. International Tatting Day. This is not like tattoos. It's an umbrella of a design. What is International Tatting Day? This is.
I'm scared.
It's lace tatting. Used thread with the fingers, and you weave it in and out, and you can make stuff with it. So, like, your what do they call those little things you put on the teacup plates? What are they called? It's a fancy word. Text line, help me out with it. You know what I'm talking about. Those little white coasters that look like napkins that have a nice design. Well, continuing. Lupus Alert Day is today. National Day of Hope. National Jump in Muddy Puddles Day. Well, it's not muddy outside. National Love for Our Children Day. National 1 Cent Day. Don't make the 1 cent anymore. National Sourdough Bread Day. Delicious. Joe missed out on his favorite day. National Soylent and Green Day. So, what a bummer.
I do want to say for all the NASCAR fans out there that back in 1993 on this day, we lost the late, great Alan Kulwicki, the 92 Winston Cup Series champion who died in a plane crash near Bristol, Tennessee, at only 38 years old. And being 38, that's just crazy to read. But Kulwicki was one of the best and had just won the championship. And so 1993, hard to believe that was 33 years ago.
That is crazy.
We lost Alan Kulwicki, and unfortunately a few months later, Davey Allison. But just saw that on Twitter. Wanted to pass that along. All right, celebrity birthdays.
Yes, celebrity birthdays right here. A good list, actually. You like this. I'll start with some that are not as known. Rapper Kid Ink. I don't know if you've heard of Kid Ink. Chase, you go first today. How old is rapper Kid Ink?
38.
33.
40. Chase is on the board. 1-0. Okay. Brando, here you go. Here, Turron Killam. He is SNL comedian. He's done some impersonations of Tim Tebow. And then he was also on that Amanda Bynes show or whatever it's called on Nickelodeon back in the day.
Oh, the Amanda Show.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Let's go 41.
40.
44. Just on the outside corner there. Let's see. Baseball pitcher Cutter Crawford was recently with the Boston Red Sox. How old is Cutter Crawford, Chase?
26.
30.
30 on the nose. Okay.
Nice.
So 2-1 Brando. Singer of Lady Adam Ellum, Hillary Scott. How old is Hillary Scott?
Proud alum of the Middle Tennessee State University as well. 39.
42.
40. Chase is closer. He gets that one. So tied at 2-2. All right. MSNBC anchor Rachel Maddow. How old is Rachel Maddow, Brando?
49.
56.
53. Close, but no cigar. And then these two, I've saved the best for last here. YouTube sensation, WWE superstar, Logan Paul. How old is Logan Paul today?
The Maverick. Stay humble. Brando, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. 31.
I'm gonna say 28.
31 exactly. So he's up 4-2. We got another birthday. If it's tied after this one, I'll find another one. But another WWE superstar, been around for a while. The one from St. Louis, Missouri himself.
Does he hear the voices?
He does hear the voices. Randy Orton. How old is Randy Orton today, Chase?
He's listening to the voices. Randy Orton, 45.
Gosh, that's what I was going to say. I'll say 44.
46. So he's one behind. Let me find another birthday real quick because this is getting real testy.
So what's the score?
He's up by one. It's 4-3. Yep, 4-3. Let's see. A birthday here. We have.
That's not right.
Yeah. He had one on the nose, which is 2. And then he got 2 of them on 1.
I thought I had it. Okay. You're right. All right.
All right. And let's see here. Last birthday on the list. If it'll pop up. Nope, that's not right. Please show up birthdays. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's see here. Never heard of. Oh, here we go. This is somebody that we all know. Barstool Sports personality Hannah Montoya. How old is Hannah Montoya?
37.
25.
25 on the nose. Brando is taking the lead for that one.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Brando. That's 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Brando in a guest role has done a good job. So that is going to do it for us here today. A reminder, you can go to unitycares.com/Big Joe because guys, girls, we all want you here. We know that you can go through some struggles. We've all gone through struggles, but it's okay to not be okay. And we want you to talk to somebody. So reach out. You can reach out to all of us. You can go to thegamenashville.com in our show page and find the links, but we want you here. We love you. And more importantly, God loves you. Peace, love, rock and roll. DVD is coming up next. Great job, Nick. Great job, Brando. Big Joe back tomorrow. We'll talk to you starting at noon on 102.5 The Game.